Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Now I'm going to show you how to do this. You can call it a granny circle or a puff circle if you want, but this is great to make coasters, placemats, mats for your floor. You can make blankets with it, make it any size you want. You can make them for cushion covers. You can put them on the top of your kitchen stool if you have a round stool. You can just make these as a little mat to sit on your bench if you're outside in the garden as well. You can make it as a little blanket to throw down for the children to play on or to sit on when you're outside. Now I'm making some placemats for my coffee. I'm going to sit my coffee on the top of it. Now you can do these for pot holders as well. So I'm going to show you how to do this really easy puff and how to keep it in a circle and so it doesn't go into a hexagonal. A lot of the time when you try to do circles, the way it's increased, you end up with straight edges like this. So I'm going to show you how to keep it as a nice round circle. So I'm going to start mine with the lemon. I'm going to do a magic circle. If you can't do a magic circle, do a chain of 5 and then slip stitch it into a ring. Now a magic circle is quite easy. You put the tail end on your hand and hold it. Wrap the rest of the yarn around and cross it over. Just cross it over. Put your hook under and catch the yarn and bring it through. Now you can pull your tail to make that hoop a little bit smaller and then pull your stitch down gently. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do one stitch, then pull up a loop, pull it up. Now we're going to go 4 times into this ring to make the puff stitch. So yarn over and through the loop, pull through, that's once, you've got 3 loops. Yarn over, through the space and pull through, that's twice. Yarn over, through 3 times, yarn over, through and pull through. So you should have about 9 loops. Put your yarn over and pull through all of those loops. If you can't go through all of them, just come through a few at a time and chain 2. 1, 2. So we're going to put 6 puffs into this magic ring or your magic loop. So yarn over into the space and pull up 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, yarn over and pull through 4. Yarn over, come through all of the loops and chain 2. 1, 2. And do that again so you've got 6 puff stitches in this space. So I've got my 6th one. I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. I'm going to pull my magic circle or my magic knot. Just pull it tight. We'll stitch that in. And in to the top of that puff stitch, where your first stitch is, we're going to slip stitch through the top of that puff stitch and slip. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my yarn. Now the one thing about chain is you can carry your colour around, but I found it easier just to cut it. Pull that one through. Pull that through your knot like that. And it's easy. It's easy just to put your needle in, go to the back where your tail is and into one of the puff stitch, just a couple of stitches just to hold that end in, and pull your tail and stitch that in. You can do this after each round if you're changing the colour. You don't have to do that if you're making it all the same colour. And I'm going to stitch this in to this one. Just a few stitches just to hold it in, and cut my tails off. So now I'm going to go into a chain 2 space, and add my next colour. Pull your yarn through. I'm just going to twist the end in to tighten it in. Do 1 chain, then pull your loop up. Pull up your loop. And we're going to do these puff stitches. We're going to do 2 into each of these chain spaces. So yarn over, pull through, that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yarn over, pull through all the loops and chain 2, 1, 2. Now put another one in, yarn over, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pull through all those loops and chain 2. And then move to the next space. You might not think you'll get them in, but you will. 1, 2, 3, 4. And pull through all of those loops and chain 2. Remember the chain 2. Another one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull through, chain 2, and move to the next one. You're going to put 2 puff stitches into each chain space. So I'm on my last puff stitch. I've got 2 into each chain space. Chain 2, 1, 2, and slip stitch to the top of this puff stitch here. Then I'm going to change my yarn again. So we went from 6 to 12 stitches. We've got 2 in each chain space. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be working in the chain spaces. Now if you're just doing this one colour, what you'll do is when you get to there, you'll just slip stitch into the chain space. If you're doing this all in one colour, pull your loop up and then start your puff stitches. What you'll do is now you'll do 1 into this space and 2 into that space. In between the puff stitch, you'll do 1 into that space and 2 into that space. Each round we're going to increase the number of single puff stitches we do. So I'm just going to pull that through. Doesn't matter that if it's there. I can sew that in later. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in between my puffs and get my next colour. So my next colour combination is white. So I'll pull that through, wrap the tail around just to help lock it in, and do 1 chain. Do 1 chain, pull that tail down. We'll stitch that in soon. I'm going to hold it over there and work around that tail end. So I've done 1 chain, pull your stitch up and do 1, 2, 3 and 4. We're going to make 1 puff stitch in here, chain 2, 1 and 2. Into the next one, we're going to put 2. Into the next chain space, we're going to put 2 in there. I'll drop my tail down. Put 2 in here. 1, 2, 3. Do my puff stitch. Chain 2. Always chain 2 after a puff stitch. Another one into there. 1, 2, 3. Pull through 4 and chain 2. So the next one, in between the puff stitches, we're going to put 1 puff stitch. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and pull through and chain 2. 1, 2. Then we'll put 2 into the next one. So we're doing 1 puff stitch, 2 into the next chain, 1 into the next chain space, 2 into the next one. So we're going to increase every second stitch all the way around. So we've done that one, we're going to put 2 into this one. So I'm going to close this round off, slip stitch in. Take this colour off. You can sew all your ends in as you go, or you can just wait until you've done quite a bit and then sew your ends in. Now what we're going to do with the next round is we're going to do 1 puff stitch, 1 puff stitch, then increase. I don't want to increase inside an increase. I want to avoid having that wedge. I don't want to increase into the increase stitch. I'm going to start over inside this increase. I'm going to put 1, 1, then increase here. 1, 1, then 2 in there. 1, 1 and 2 puff stitch. 1 puff stitch, 1 puff stitch, 2. 1, 1, 2. So we're doing 2 single stitches before we increase. And to stop it from going into that hexagonal shape and keep it round, don't increase into one that's increased already. So I'm going to go offset here. I'm going to do in here, I'm going to put my next colour on. For me, it's blue. So I'm going to go in to the stitch before my increase. Just pull my yarn through, wrap my tail around once or twice and do 1 chain. Pull my stitch up and then do my puff stitch. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and pull through. Chain 2, 1, 2. Now I'm going to move. This is where the increase was. I'm going to put 1 stitch. So we're going to have 1 single puff, 1 single puff stitch, and then we'll increase. So every row you will increase the number of single stitches before you increase. So that's the first one. So 1 into this here where we've already done an increase. We're only putting 1. That's going to help keep our little blanket or project round. Chain 2, 1, 2. So I've got 1 and 2. Now I'm going to increase. Put 2 in. Chain 2. Don't do your chains too tight. And 1 more in that space. Increase in here. Chain 2. Then move to the next space. We'll put 1 in here, 1 in here, and then 2 in there. All the way around. So I'm on my last space and I'm on an increase. I've done 1, 2, and then I'm going to increase in here. Go through all my loops and chain 2. Don't do your chain too tight. And we're going to slip stitch in to the top of that puff. Have I done my chain of 2? Do my chain 2 and then slip stitch. And we'll change the yarn again. You can cut your ends in anytime you want. So I've got my darning needle on and I'm just going to sew in the end at the back of the puff stitch. Just put a few stitches in to hold the yarn out of the way. And that's you made your coaster. And that's you made your coaster. You can make as many of these as you want. Make it as big as you want. All you'll do is just add, when you do your next round, we finished on 3 and then an increase. So your next round will be 1, 2, 3, 4 and then you'll increase. 1, 2, 3, 4. When you start your next round, just push your hook through between the previous increases. So start in here if you're doing another round, and that'll stop it from looking like a hexagon and it'll keep it in this round shape. Make them any colour combination you want or keep them just the one colour. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and please click on the bell icon and YouTube will tell you when I put up another tutorial. So until the next time, happy crafting and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.